It's May 27th, 2014, and Bob and I are in the Wild and Scenic River area of the Obed, and Bob is filming towards Clear Creek. And this morning we're going to walk out to the point and back. We'll be right around 4 miles, and we are out on a little extension the National Park Service has made that allows you to come out and look over the bluffs and down to the creeks below. Now we're hearing a variety of bird songs this morning, and also we're seeing that the magnolias are in bloom. So as we work into the hike a little bit, we'll show you some of the trail junctures and also some of the magnolias that populate this route, as well as perhaps some of the rapids and the currents that this area is famous for. Teresa, Bob, and I have just been out to Lily Bluff Overlook, and that's where the first footage came from, and we're now about to start the point trail. The trail that Bob's filming for you started only 0.2 of a mile back at the parking lot. Now, we're about to do the point trail. As you come down through here, you don't want to miss walking out to the overlook. That's where you're going to get those fantastic views on down Clear Creek, and you can see the rapids that Bob used to run when he ran these rivers so often. So that's a real treat. Now we're going to take this on down, and we're going to go down next to the river, then back up onto the bluff and on out to the point, and we'll show you some of those views and talk about some of the things we see as we go along. So today, Teresa will be here to help us, and that means that we'll be on our best behavior. So we're off. We're at a beautiful overlook with the keystone of the Wild River below us, the Obed River, draining down. You can see the cliffs above, draining down towards Obed Junction. And Clear Creek, I can almost with a good rock throw hit it on the other side of this ridge as we head out towards the point. These two rivers are going to come together, and they make up this sort of central part of the Wild and Scenic Rivers section of the Obed. What makes this area so special? You can see across the upper part of the Cumberland Plateau. It is a nice place to hike in its own right, but when you get down in the gorge, that's where the magic is. That's where the bluffs are and the rock houses and the special things that you can see. The cliffs are beautiful, but down along the Obed, down along Clear Creek, down along Honey Creek, spectacular hiking. So this is an area we favor almost above all others as wonderful places. We've seen falcons this morning. We've seen hawks soaring overhead. So along the way out to the point, this is a great overlook to stop and take in the Obed. In sort of a surprise, we're seeing a lot of calacanthus or sweet shrub on our walk today. Sweet shrub is just barely a flowering plant. It is a very primitive flowering plant with not a good distinction between flowering parts. So the other primitive group that we did, this one may be even a little more primitive. The other group we did was magnolia. But that doesn't, just because primitive means you evolved a long time ago, it doesn't mean that the tricks you have, your evolutionary adjustments and adaptations, don't work well in your environment. This is sweet shrub, and I think the sweet shrub really is blooming more in the 3rd week of April. But it will continue to put up blooms. Well, we're now in the last week of May, and there are a lot of blooms in this area. So here is the beautiful flowers, all the petals and stamens just kind of intermixed and flowing out. And it has a lovely pollination strategy in that insects wander in, but they can't get out of the flower. Until an insect comes in with pollen that fertilizes the flower, they're sort of trapped in there. After fertilization, it'll open up a little bit. The little insects that are in there now are all covered with pollen. They're now released, and they can come out. And of course, insects operate on instinct. They see another flower, they go to it, and pollination occurs. But if it's early, they may hold an insect in here for a while, waiting for pollination. If an insect comes in without pollen on it, Something's got to fertilize that flower before it can get out. So they produce a little nectar, keep the insects alive. Fabulous, evolutionary strategy. Now over here, right underneath here, and what looks to me a bit like a shriveled scrotum, is the fruit. And the fruit on this will be filled with what look like tiny coffee beans. This is a great place to look. Also in here, I will often find ant colonies. As this becomes, with a little pore at the base that will develop, and when the wind blows and the seeds will fall out, this will become a great place for insects to house. An ant colony being one of my favorites when I look in there. Now, I'm going to take another video clip, and we'll adjoin to this one, and I'll show you what the fruits look like as I have this plant. Bob and I have arrived home. We looked at the calycanthus earlier, and we'll piggyback this film clip right on the back of the one you just saw. So we've just come to my house, and I've taken calycanthus fruit from our calycanthus in the yard, and I'm now going to split it with my knife and open this up and let you see these incredible, look at this. Oh, and this is just a few. And a bigger fruit, I can get twice as many little, what look like little coffee beans. And what do I have in here? I have ant larvae, little white ant larvae. I have little ants moving around. I will put this all back together, and here are the calycanthus seeds. Are they not pretty? I don't think you can make coffee with them, but I have them laying around my house just because I think they're so beautiful. So remember, the function of a flower is reproduction. The flowers, through the process of reproduction, form fruits, and inside the fruits are the seeds. The seeds then contain the next generation plant, usually along with a little food. So what I have here are new plants, the process of sexual reproduction. And what I have are little ants carrying their larvae away. I'll put all this back together and give them back their home. What I think might be happening right here is we see one dead tree in here and one dying hemlock, and that has opened up a lot of light and formed a light gap. And you can just as you see on the video, just look for the large-leaved saplings that have come into this, or their seeds have taken that light opportunity and just taken off like crazy. So I don't know how many there are in here, 70 or 80. And this is a magnolia that we see filling this niche. Now that we've been looking a little more carefully, moving in sort of almost pioneer situations where there's still enough over canopy that it's not too xeric, a little touch of mesophytic woods, and that's a big leaf magnolia. Now, to me, nothing says Cumberland Mountains like a big leaf magnolia. We've done umbrella magnolia, and now let's look at just the leaves of a big leaf magnolia, and you'll see they're easy to tell apart. Now, these can become small trees. So they're shrub trees for the most part, but they can still get 12, 18 inches on a real big one. The leaves here are the largest single leaf in our flora. Now, bipinnately compound leaves, they can be larger, like on Aurelia or Hercules Club, but this is for just a single leaf. This is the largest one. And telling a big leaf from an umbrella is actually not so difficult. You notice that it's tapered on the far end, and in an umbrella magnolia, it's tapered on the petiolar stem side, but not in a big leaf. In a big leaf magnolia, the leaf comes down and is eared. Looks like two ears right on the base of that leaf. Now, let me hold a couple of them up. And this is called cordate. So it has these eared leaves. Now, I'm going to take a small leaf here and let you get a better look. So, flipping it over, I've taken a small leaf tattered with, I think, a hailstorm we had. Look at the base of that leaf. It's eared, not tapered on both ends like an umbrella, but eared. In the winter, you can see these long end buds on this tree. So it has year-round beauty, but I think if you'll keep your eyes peeled, you'll really come to enjoy big leaf magnolias in the Cumberlands. Now, in the Smoky Mountains, you're probably never going to see it. In the Cumberlands, characteristic of this. So watch, we still get umbrellas here, so you'll see both, but you're going to see a lot of big leaf magnolias, and you can see in here, look at its little oval imprint as it's moved in to this extra light gap. Once the spring rush is over with wildflowers, you're doing your walks, you start looking for other plants to admire, and situations where the floral display just blows you away. And next on the scene for that is going to be mountain laurel. A lot of people think this is the most beautiful flower and flowering display that we have on the dry parts of the Cumberland Plateau, and we compare that to rhododendrons in more moist situations. But this is one of my very favorite flowers. Now, one of the things that you might watch for when you're looking at laurel is watch for pollinators. So when you're out at mountain laurel, they do the absolutely coolest thing. Mountain laurel has 10 stamens, and those stamens, as the individual flowers mature, those stamens get caught in small grooves in the petal. So each of the 10 stamens, the anther head where the pollen is actually made, is in a groove, and as the flower expands, it comes under tension. So you have 10 stamens with their anthers buried, and the filament, the bottom part of the stamen, the male part, is bent over and under pressure, under tension. When insects step in here to pollinate, it's like a catapult. Boing! Out flaps the stamen, and a little puff of pollen flies up and then adheres to the insect. So when insects walk around in here, you can see these little catapults letting go all around them and throwing pollen up. When you look into these flowers now, I see some that have just opened and have all 10 stamens still under pressure, and I see some older flowers that are completely empty. So this is it's fun to watch. And also you can notice the difference in petal color. And I've wondered, do they attract slightly different pollinators? I don't know. But as Bob pans up and down kind of a little bit along the edge of the trail, you'll notice we go from white to pink, and just a beautiful display of flowering plants in here. Holly above me, pretty typical dry. We're out on a sandstone bluff overlooking Clear Creek.